What would you do if achieving your dreams meant abandoning the people you love most? Maya Johnson faced this impossible choice at 25, and what happened next will break your heart and rebuild it again. This is the story of a woman who sacrificed everything for her family, only to discover that love has a way of coming full circle in the most unexpected ways. Maya had always been a dreamer. Growing up in a small brick house on Maple Street, she would spend hours in her grandmother's kitchen, watching Big Mama Evelyn knead dough and create magic from simple ingredients. The smell of fresh bread and sweet potato pie filled their home, and Maya knew from the age of 8 that she wanted to own her own bakery someday. She would sketch cake designs in her school notebooks, practice decorating techniques with whatever she could find, and dream of the day she would open Maya's Sweet Dreams Bakery. By 18, Maya had saved every penny from her part-time job at the local grocery store. She had been accepted to culinary school with a partial scholarship, and her acceptance letter hung proudly on the refrigerator next to Big Mama's recipe cards. Her future seemed as bright as the morning sun streaming through their kitchen window. But life has a way of changing everything in an instant. It was a Tuesday morning in March when Big Mama collapsed in the garden while tending to her tomato plants. The stroke left her partially paralyzed and unable to care for herself. Maya's younger brother Marcus was only 15, still in high school with dreams of becoming an engineer. Her sister Keisha had just had her second baby and was struggling to make ends meet as a single mother. Standing in that hospital waiting room, surrounded by the antiseptic smell and the sound of beeping machines, Maya made a decision that would define the next 15 years of her life. She folded her culinary school acceptance letter in half, placed it in her purse and never looked at it again. The next morning Maya called the school and declined her spot. She used her savings to help with Big Mama's medical bills and took on a second job to support the family. Her dreams of owning a bakery were carefully packed away, like precious china stored in the attic for someday. Maya became the backbone of the Johnson family overnight. She worked as a nurse's aide during the day, caring for elderly patients with the same tenderness she showed Big Mama. In the evenings she cleaned office buildings, her hands growing rough from industrial cleaners and long hours. On weekends she babysat her niece and nephew Jamal and Zara, while Keisha worked her shifts at the diner. Every morning began before sunrise. Maya would prepare Big Mama's medications, help her with her physical therapy exercises, and make sure she was comfortable before rushing to her first job. She learned to give injections, monitor blood pressure, and recognize the signs of another stroke. The woman who once dreamed of decorating wedding cakes was now an expert in medical terminology and insurance forms. But Maya never complained. When Marcus struggled with calculus, she sat with him for hours, working through problems even though she was exhausted. When Keisha cried about not being able to afford winter coats for her children, Maya quietly bought them herself, pretending she had found them on sale. When Big Mama had bad days and forgot where she was, Maya would hold her hand and tell her stories about the old days until the confusion passed. The years blended together like ingredients in one of Big Mama's recipes. Marcus graduated high school with honors and earned a full scholarship to engineering school. Keisha completed her nursing program and found a good job at the regional hospital. Little Jamal learned to read and Zara started kindergarten. The family was thriving, but Maya was slowly disappearing into her role as caregiver and provider. There were moments, usually late at night when everyone else was sleeping, when Maya would allow herself to remember her dreams. She would find herself standing in the kitchen, her hands moving instinctively as she kneaded dough for the next day's breakfast. Sometimes she would catch herself sketching cake designs on napkins while waiting for her shift to end, then quickly throwing them away before anyone could see. Her friends from high school had moved on with their lives. Some had gotten married, others had pursued careers, and a few had even opened their own businesses. Maya watched their success on social media with a mixture of pride and longing. She was genuinely happy for them, but there was a hollow ache in her chest that never quite went away. The loneliness was the hardest part. While her family members built their futures, Maya felt frozen in time. She dated occasionally, but relationships were difficult when her priority was always someone else's needs. One man told her she cared too much about her family. Another said she needed to think about herself for once. They didn't understand that Maya couldn't simply turn off 15 years of putting others first. By her 40th birthday, Maya had perfected the art of invisible sacrifice. She had become so skilled at anticipating everyone's needs that they barely noticed her efforts anymore. When Marcus called from college to share his latest achievements, he rarely asked about her life. When Keisha got promoted to head nurse, the celebration dinner was about her success. Maya was always the one organizing, supporting, and celebrating others while her own dreams gathered dust. But families have a way of seeing more than we think they do. It was Aunt Ruby who first noticed the change in Maya. During Sunday dinner at Big Mama's house, she watched Maya serve everyone else before sitting down with her own plate. She saw how Maya's eyes lingered on the cooking shows on television, and she noticed the way Maya's face lit up when she talked about a new recipe she wanted to try. After dinner, Aunt Ruby pulled Keisha aside. "When was the last time we celebrated your sister?" she asked quietly. Keisha looked confused. "Maya doesn't like a big fuss," she replied. But Aunt Ruby shook her head. "That girl has been putting everyone else first for 20 years. When has anyone put her first?" The conversation stayed with Keisha for weeks. She began to really look at her sister, perhaps for the first time in years. She noticed the tired lines around Maya's eyes, the way her shoulders sagged when she thought no one was looking, and how Maya always deflected conversations away from herself. Keisha called Marcus at college. "Do you remember Maya's dream about the bakery?" she asked him. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I haven't thought about that in years," he admitted. "She used to talk about it all the time when we were kids." They both realized with growing shame that they had no idea what Maya's current dreams were, or if she even allowed herself to have any. The family began to piece together the full picture of Maya's sacrifices. Big Mama, despite her limitations, had watched everything with clear eyes. She told them about the nights Maya would sit beside her bed during the worst periods of her recovery, reading to her and reassuring her when the fear became overwhelming. She remembered how Maya had given up her own bed for 2 years so that Big Mama could sleep on the main floor during her rehabilitation. Marcus recalled how Maya had worked extra shifts to help pay for his college application fees, his graduation suit, and his dorm room supplies. He remembered her attending every parent-teacher conference, every school play, and every award ceremony, acting as both sister and parent figure without ever being asked. Keisha began to calculate the hours Maya had spent babysitting, the money she had contributed to household expenses, and the opportunities she had passed up to be available for family emergencies. The numbers were staggering. Maya had essentially put her entire adult life on hold to ensure that everyone else could pursue their dreams. What happened next took 6 months of secret planning. Aunt Ruby became the family coordinator, organizing weekly phone calls and clandestine meetings. Marcus came home for spring break with a specific mission. Keisha adjusted her work schedule to take on more of Big Mama's care. Even little Jamal and Zara, now 13 and 10, were brought into the conspiracy. The plan was ambitious and deeply personal. The family had discovered that Maya still kept her old recipe notebooks, hidden in a box under her bed. They found sketches of cake designs dating back 15 years, business plans written on the backs of envelopes, and a savings account with $300 labeled Someday Fund. Marcus, now a successful junior engineer, had been saving money for years. Keisha had built up her own nest egg as head nurse. Even Aunt Ruby had been setting aside money from her work at the post office. Together, they had quietly accumulated enough to make Maya's dream possible. But the money was only part of the surprise. The family reached out to Maya's old high school friends, her former co-workers, and even tracked down her culinary school counselor who remembered the talented young woman who had declined her acceptance 22 years earlier. They collected video messages from everyone Maya had touched over the years. Patients from her nursing job talked about her gentle care and encouraging words. Former teachers remembered her kindness to struggling classmates. Neighbors shared stories of how Maya had helped them during difficult times. The plan culminated on a seemingly ordinary Saturday in September. Maya woke up that morning expecting a quiet day at home. Big Mama was feeling well, and for once no one needed anything urgent. Maya decided to experiment with a new bread recipe she had seen online, one of her rare moments of culinary indulgence. She was elbow-deep in flour when the doorbell rang. "I'll get it," called Keisha, who had arrived earlier to help with Big Mama's morning routine. Maya heard voices in the living room but thought nothing of it until Keisha called her name with an unusual urgency. Maya walked into the living room wiping her hands on her apron, and stopped dead in her tracks. The room was filled with people. Marcus stood near the fireplace, having driven 6 hours to be there. Aunt Ruby was setting up a video camera. Jamal and Zara were holding a homemade banner that read, "Maya's dreams matter too." In the center of the room sat Big Mama, dressed in her best Sunday dress, holding an envelope in her trembling hands. "Maya, baby," Big Mama said, her voice stronger than it had been in years, "come sit with me." Maya's legs felt weak as she sank onto the couch beside her grandmother. The room was silent except for the sound of her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. 22 years ago, Big Mama began, "You made a choice to put this family first. You have given us everything, and we have watched you set aside your own dreams without ever complaining. Today we want to give something back." Keisha stepped forward with tears in her eyes. "Maya, we found your old business plans. We know about the bakery you wanted to open. We know about culinary school, and the dreams you packed away to take care of all of us." Marcus cleared his throat, his voice thick with emotion. "We also know that you have never stopped dreaming. We found your recipe notebooks, your sketches, your savings account labeled, 'Someday Fund.' Well, Maya, someday is today." Big Mama pressed the envelope into Maya's hands. With trembling fingers, Maya opened it and pulled out what looked like a check. When she saw the amount, she gasped. $150,000 made out to Maya Johnson. "This is the money you would have saved if you hadn't been supporting all of us," Keisha explained. "We calculated 15 years of the extra money you could have put away if you had been pursuing your own dreams instead of funding ours." But there was more. Aunt Ruby pressed play on the video camera, and the television screen came to life. Face after face appeared, each sharing a message for Maya. Her old high school friends talked about her talent and determination. Former patients shared how her care had helped them heal not just physically but emotionally. Teachers and co-workers spoke about her natural leadership and her gift for bringing out the best in others. Then her culinary school counselor appeared on screen. "Maya," she said, looking directly into the camera, "I remember you from 22 years ago. You were one of the most promising applicants we had ever seen. I want you to know that it's never too late to pursue your dreams. I've been in touch with your family, and we have a spot waiting for you in our accelerated program for adult learners. Your experience, your maturity, and your passion will make you an even better student now than you would have been then." Maya was crying now, tears streaming down her face as the weight of 22 years of suppressed dreams came rushing to the surface. Marcus knelt beside her chair. "Maya, you taught me that hard work pays off. You showed me that sacrifice for the people you love is never wasted. But you also taught me something else without meaning to. You showed me what happens when someone gives so much of themselves that they disappear. I don't want that for you anymore." Keisha took her sister's hand. "You have been our mother, our supporter, our cheerleader, and our safety net. You have celebrated every milestone in our lives, and we have been taking that for granted. Today we want to celebrate you. We want to invest in your dreams the way you have invested in ours." Big Mama squeezed Maya's other hand with surprising strength. "Baby girl, you have been my hands and feet for 15 years. You have been my hope when I thought I had none left. But I never wanted you to lose yourself in taking care of me. I want to live long enough to eat a piece of cake from Maya's Sweet Dreams Bakery." The surprises weren't finished. Aunt Ruby pulled out a folder thick with papers. "We have been busy," she said with a grin. "We found the perfect location for your bakery and we have already put down a deposit. We researched business licenses, talked to the health department, and even contacted some potential suppliers. We know you will want to make your own decisions, but we wanted to give you a head start." Maya looked around the room at the faces of the people she loved most in the world. These were the people she had sacrificed for, worried about, and put before herself for over 2 decades. And now they were giving back to her in ways she never could have imagined. But the most important surprise was yet to come. Jamal and Zara stepped forward, each holding a small wrapped package. "We made these for you," Zara said shyly. Maya unwrapped the first gift to find a hand-drawn picture of a bakery with "Maya's Sweet Dreams" written in crayon above the door. In the picture, stick figures of the whole family stood outside, all of them smiling. The second package contained a small notebook. On the cover, Jamal had written "Maya's New Dreams." Inside, the pages were blank, waiting for her to fill them with new plans, new hopes, and new possibilities. Maya held the notebook against her chest and looked around the room through her tears. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll do it," Marcus urged. "Say you'll go to culinary school. Say you'll open the bakery. Say you'll finally put yourself first for once." Maya thought about all the reasons she shouldn't. Big Mama still needed care, though she was much more independent now. Keisha had her own family to worry about. Marcus was just starting his career. There would always be something, someone, some reason to wait. But as she looked at the faces surrounding her, Maya realized something profound. By sacrificing her dreams to support theirs, she had raised a family who understood the value of both sacrifice and dreams. They had learned from her example and now they wanted to give back. They had become the kind of people who would support each other's dreams, just as she had supported theirs. "Yes," Maya said, her voice growing stronger. "Yes, I'll do it. I'll go to culinary school. I'll open the bakery. I'll finally pursue my dreams." The room erupted in cheers and hugs. Big Mama wiped tears from her eyes. Keisha whooped with joy. Marcus picked Maya up and spun her around like they were children again. Jamal and Zara danced around the room, excited to be part of something so important. Over the following months, Maya's life transformed in ways she never thought possible. She enrolled in the accelerated culinary program and discovered that her years of cooking for the family had given her skills and confidence she didn't know she possessed. Her instructors were impressed by her creativity, her attention to detail, and her natural ability to lead and teach other students. The bakery space that her family had found was perfect. A corner location with large windows and enough room for both a kitchen and a small seating area. Maya spent her evenings and weekends working on renovations, with Marcus handling the electrical work, Keisha helping with the design, and even Big Mama offering advice from her wheelchair. But the most important change was in Maya herself. For the first time in over 20 years, Maya had something that was entirely her own. She had a dream that belonged to her, goals that she was working toward, and a future that excited her. She discovered that she had not lost herself in those years of service to her family. Instead, she had developed strength, resilience, and a capacity for love that made her dreams even more meaningful. Maya's Sweet Dreams Bakery opened on a crisp October morning, exactly 1 year after that life-changing Saturday. The entire family was there, along with friends, neighbors, and even some of Maya's former patients. Big Mama sat in the place of honor, a small table near the window where she could watch Maya work her magic. The first cake Maya sold was a 3-layer chocolate creation with buttercream roses, something she had sketched in one of her old notebooks 15 years earlier. As she handed it to the customer and saw their face light up with joy, Maya understood something profound about the relationship between dreams and sacrifice. Her years of putting her family first had not been wasted time. They had been an investment in love, and love always finds a way to multiply in return. The skills she had learned as a caregiver, the patience she had developed, the ability to put others' needs first when necessary, all of these had made her not just a better baker, but a better business owner and a better person. Maya learned that dreams deferred are not always dreams denied. Sometimes they are dreams that are being seasoned by life experience, strengthened by adversity, and sweetened by the love we give and receive along the way. Today, Maya's Sweet Dreams Bakery is thriving. Marcus stops by every Sunday for his favorite cinnamon rolls. Keisha brings her children for cupcakes after school. Big Mama has her own special table where she holds court and tells stories to anyone who will listen. Aunt Ruby organizes the book club that meets there every Tuesday evening. The bakery has become what Maya always envisioned, not just a place to sell baked goods, but a gathering place for the community, a spot where people come to celebrate life's sweet moments and find comfort during the difficult times. Maya still works hard, but now she works for herself and her dreams. She still puts her family first when they truly need her, but she has learned the difference between being supportive and sacrificing herself completely. She has taught her family that loving someone means wanting them to be fulfilled and happy, not just safe and provided for. And every morning, when Maya unlocks the door to her bakery and breathes in the smell of fresh bread and brewing coffee, she remembers that sometimes the longest journey to our dreams is the one that teaches us the most about ourselves. Maya's story reminds us that sacrifice and dreams are not opposites. Love is not about giving up everything for others or taking everything for ourselves. True love, the kind that builds strong families and creates lasting happiness, is about supporting each other's dreams and finding ways to lift each other up. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give the people we love is showing them how to be generous without losing themselves, how to care for others while still nurturing their own hopes and aspirations. Maya taught her family about sacrifice, and in return they taught her about the importance of dreams. In the end, Maya learned that she had not given up everything for her family. She had invested everything in love, and love had given her back more than she ever could have imagined. Her dreams had not disappeared during those years of service. They had been growing stronger, deeper, and more meaningful, waiting for the right time to bloom. And when that time finally came, Maya was ready. She was not the same young woman who had folded up her culinary school acceptance letter 23 years earlier. She was better, stronger, wiser, and more capable than she ever could have been without the journey of sacrifice and love that had brought her to this moment. Maya's Sweet Dreams Bakery stands as a testament to the truth that love multiplies when it is shared, dreams grow sweeter when they are seasoned with service to others, and the most beautiful endings often come to those who are willing to wait for love to come full circle. If you enjoyed Maya's story, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that it's never too late to pursue your dreams, and that the greatest love is the kind that lifts everyone up together. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What does family mean to you after hearing this story? Do you believe in sacrificing for them, or you don't buy into that ideology? We read every comment like it's a letter from home. If this story stirred your heart, don't just scroll. Share it with someone who needs to hear this kind of story. Subscribe for more African folktales and American stories that remind us that delay is not denial. Take care until next time.